Hello everyone. So Schmincke does it again with its beautiful vintage packaging, and we're going to take a look into Cochineal. They're bringing back some of the historical pigments, and we're going to take a look at the little palette, kind of do some mixes. And Lutea is the only other one that I have that is also made from Cochineal. And now I had to look up the pronunciation, so I'm going to play that for you because I'm going to mispronounce this word.
Cochineal. Cochineal.
Cochineal is, I guess, how you're supposed to say it. And so we're going to compare these two, and the light fastness and everything on these pigments we're going to go over. So would we want to put this in our master palette as one of our reds? Yes or no? We'll see in the end how they mix up with the other pigments in this little palette. So let's get to opening. Gosh, this packaging, the vintage look on this packaging is just so phenomenal. You gotta love the old-fashioned fonts, and I mean, look how pretty. These palettes are so wonderful for traveling. So I'll go ahead and unwrap these and we'll start experimenting. All right, we got them all unwrapped. You know, lots of people say that they're like little candies unwrapping, but really, you know, it's just not that much fun to me unwrapping all the little squares. Just my opinion. Now, the pigments on these two, the Schmincke is NR4:1, and the other one is just NR4, but they're both made from the Conchial or Conchal. So we'll see if they look a little different. Let's go ahead and get started. I thought you might want to see how they're poured out. This one looks really, really dark. And this one is a lot lighter and kind of explosive all over the finger. Clean up, aisle 3. 1 second. All right, little mess, little cleanup. Let's go ahead and I got a little extra in this pan, but we're going to be doing the mixes anyway, laying out the color on the sheet. So I got quite a bit of color on here. Let's see if we can get it to a and zoom in a little bit. I am going to keep like all the packaging from this and stick it in here. I just love when something has all the vintage fonts, and this is a gorgeous, gorgeous red. Wow. I'm trying to dilute it. I had quite a bit on the brush though. Wow. Really, really beautiful color. So let's go ahead and do Lutea's. And it looks really different. I don't know if that :1 or how the mix is done. I know this one is made by hand, so it's a little different. But look at the color difference. Now I'm sure since it's made, I'm pretty sure out of bugs, that the bugs can vary quite a bit. But that's quite a difference in color. Amazing that it's the same from the same. Now the cost on these, the Lutea is quite a bit more expensive. For a 9 milliliter tube, it's about $28 to $32, and the new Schmincke or Schmincke one is about $20 for 15 milliliter. So quite a bit different in Really, both of them are absolutely gorgeous, but really, really different. They're not similar in any way. This one I'd say is a very neutral in the middle red. Maybe goes a little bit to the pink side in the diluted form there. And this one is very on the purpley or violet side. So we'll let those dry, see how they dry down, how vibrant they become. And now we'll just go ahead and move on over. We'll swatch out the colors, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put the conceal right into the color and mix it on the paper a little bit so we can see how these colors mix. So first up, and the only problem I have about this palette is I'm not sure why they gave us a yellow raw ochre and a raw umber. I think they're too close, and for a palette this size, it just seems a little redundant. So we're going to go ahead and get the yellow going here, PY175. This way you get to see what's in the palette. I know quite a few people have already swatched out these colors, and they're not colors that you would never see in the Schmincke line. Let's go ahead and let that mix. Next up is Vermilion, PR255. Hopefully my autofocus is not doing anything crazy on me. I try and kind of dim it down when I do close-ups like this, but sometimes the camera has a mind of its own. Now we have Ultramarine Finest. It's PB29. There's pretty classic colors in this little palette, not too out of the ordinary. These little palettes cost a fortune on their own though, so you might as well get them with the paint in them, and then you always have a spare. Even if you change them out. And then the middle row, in the middle, you can always add a whole nother 4 colors, which I will be adding this one definitely in. I think I might need just a tiny bit more blue going on there. I might have done that one slightly too weak. It's kind of a really drab violet it's making in there. Not too gorgeous. Viridian, PG18. I think I got a tiny bit excited there with the last swatch. Let's see if this will make a nice gray or not, or brownish. I don't know if the green's potent enough to, oh there we go, yeah, nice gray. Yellow Raw Ochre. And of course, just like all Schmincke paints, they re-wet absolutely beautiful. This is a PY42 and PY43. It's a little not my favorite. Raw Umber PY43. Oop, I think I contaminated that one slightly. Had a tiny bit left on the brush. This red is really strong. Tends to like to take over a little bit. Now we have our Venetian PR101. This tends to be a heavy duty color, so this red is quite strong though. Really quite impressed by it. And our last in this little palette is Payne's Gray. PR101, PB29, and PBK7. And this is their Schmincke one, which is very neutral. I tend to like the bluish one a little bit better. Alright, let's see how those melt together and dry up. We'll take a look in a minute. While we're waiting for those to dry, I just thought I'd give you the little swatch sheet on my Lutea. The carmine's right there. There's a few of these colors that are absolutely gorgeous. Their indigo is gorgeous. Their violet is gorgeous, and this is gorgeous. Definitely worth checking out. So just as a little insert, I'll attach the video for this swatching if you want to watch the colors all being swatched out. Alright, so they had a little time to dry, and let's take a look closer here. And our mixes here. For such a small palette, you can quite get a variation in there, although I would change out a few of them. So what do you think about the new little vintage line and color that they came out with, the Cochineal? And do you like the Lutea better than the Schmincke? And would you put either one in your standard palette, or would you say that it might not be light fast, which most people say that it does fade, that it doesn't have, you know, the 100-year long lasting? Is it still worth using? Are those colors, these two colors, really worth using? So you let me know if we should put either one of those in our big palette of Battle of Colors, and we're making, if you haven't been with me, we're making a huge palette out of your choices, and each brand is battling in different categories of going through all the reds and blues and basically all the colors of the spectrum. And we're going to have a master palette at the end and see which colors win. And kind of, it could be a good palette, it could be a really ugly palette. It's amazing that some colors won't make other colors, you know, look good next to each other and so forth. So we'll see what we come up with. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.